was great to have you here. Martin, perhaps you'd like to summarize a little bit, and we wrap up with the last.
Yeah, just I suppose the first thing that struck me, you kind of opened, Charles, by taking us into the context and the connections that people have. You identified three different elements. One is the physical capacity or physical proximity. Two is creating the time, and then three was creating a free environment, or an environment in which free exchange can happen unimpeded. We then talked a little bit about identifying the gaps between people, particularly then you talked about the isolation of the leader and the sense that some leaders have this developing sense of isolation from their teams, from their groups. And when I asked about why was that isolation developing, you identified again three key elements, one of which was social media, but the other was the idea of people physically moving jobs, moving locations, moving home, but equally moving groups. And you spoke a little bit about faith and moving their faith groups. Now, irrespective of what religious beliefs you might have, the key point is that when people are moving from a known community, whatever the community is, now we end up with the possibilities of greater and greater isolation. But I suppose the key thing that I'm taking out of our conversation is that the interpersonal connections coming from shared experiences, from shared emotional grounding, from shared intellectual exposure, that those elements create the foundation on which trust ultimately can get built. And I suppose the final analogy, which I really love, is that it doesn't take much water to get growth in a desert. And as a really simple summary of, are we in a hopeful or a hopeless environment? I would share your optimism and say, actually, a teacup of water will do an awful lot to build an awful lot of growth in a desert.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Martin. And over to you, Charles. Last piece of advice for our viewers and wherever they are.
I'm happy to give advice, but I want to make sure that your listeners know that I've written several books on the subject. And so if their interest is piqued whatsoever, there is more. They're the books that are being used around the world and some of the world's most famous brands to make their teams more effective and to connect people in ways that are supportive in a crisis time. My first book is The Art of Community. And then I wrote a book called Storytelling for Leadership, because in all leadership, bringing people together is their powerful stories that make that happen. And then lastly, my latest book on the subject is Building Brand Communities. In this case, any organization, for-profit, nonprofit, political, that has a brand, how to bring people together that are important for success. And then last piece of advice, let's go start at the beginning. All community starts at the same place, an invitation. And my work is a request to spend time where someone knows that someone cares if they show up. And I'm convinced that if everybody listening right now invites 5 people they already want to spend more time with, just makes the request to spend that time, walking around a park, eating a bowl of noodles, playing with dogs, all count. That's the beginning of relationships that can grow much deeper.
Hey, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching us today. Charles Vogl, our guest speaker today, was an amazing masterclass. Thank you so much, Martin, as usual, for the wonderful summary of the conversation. And for our viewers who want to know more about Charles Vogl, just follow him on this event page. He's our guest speaker for today. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. It was really great to be here with all of you. Bye for now.
Thanks very much. Bye all.